All right. All right, Mrs. Engel, we are back with Granny, and she's still holding strong. She's still being a trooper, and we are on number 14 of the popular ideas about language learning. Number 14 is when learners are allowed to interact freely, for example, in group or pair activities, they copy each other's mistakes, Granny. Okay? So actually, that is not true. When learners work in groups with people that are on the same level as them, they actually do not produce more errors than if they would be working with any native speaker, or if they would be speaking to them. In addition, researchers say that people on the same level cannot or do not have the ability to correct an error. For example, like in my Spanish classes, I would be working with someone, but if there was an error that I had committed that we hadn't quite learned or wasn't really sure about, I wasn't confident enough to correct it or to tell you to correct it. So that's something that researchers have found. In addition, working in groups can allow you, potentially depending on how well the lesson is set up or how well the teacher aids to interpret or to allow for learning and to express and interpret a meaning in the language. To express or interpret a meaning in the language can happen if the teacher sets up the activity in an appropriate way in order for learners to learn that way. And also, in general, when working in groups or working with an individual activity or off of a teacher, all of those are really important in the learning language process in order to succeed and do well. And number 15 reads, students learn what they are taught. And that is true. I agree with that, Granny, but not everything. They don't learn everything that they're taught. And eventually they will know more than what they're taught. But also, in addition, learners, when they learn and take in things, sometimes they do that on their own natural level. They do that when they're ready. So you can't really push that. Sometimes things just click. And they have to come naturally. So students may learn, but they all learn on different levels, and they all learn in different ways. And sometimes you may have to repeat things in order for things to click. In addition, learners learn vocabulary well. So when vocabulary is taught, for the most part, that is learned. And in addition, language learners also kind of inference things a lot. Within their own learning, they kind of just make sense of things. The book calls it an internal learning mechanism. Kind of just an ability to assume things and to kind of learn little things on their own. Just kind of make sense of everything. So that is the answer for 15. And 16 reads, teachers should respond to students' errors by correctly rephrasing what they have said rather than explicitly pointing out the error. And yes, that is correct. That is called recasting or recast, and it's a way to politely and appropriately say something to specifically an adult to avoid embarrassment. And this way of recasting to reiterate a phrase is a very good way to mostly tell adults. When you have children, recasts just don't really work, because when you rephrase something in a polite way, they don't understand or grasp the concept that it is wrong. They understand that you're saying it. They just think you're saying it the same way. They don't think that you're correcting the error within it. So it's not actually a great way to approach children, but it is a great way to approach adults. And in addition, adults do receive recasts as a corrective feedback mechanism. And 17, the last one, Granny, hold it strong, prop you up, keep you going. says 7 students can learn both languages and academic content, for example, science and history, simultaneously in classes where the subject matter is taught in their second language. That is absolutely true. And the great thing about this is when you put students in that learning environment and content immersion, it allows them to see the need for them to succeed and allows them to be motivated to do well and to try to strive to learn. Now, in addition, when you have content-based areas, there is a problem with the extensive amount of vocab, and it's a lot more different vocabulary than would someone who is just learning from a foreign language book. In addition, full immersion can allow students to have better comprehension skills, vocab skills, and general communicative competence. And except though in another language, even if you put someone in full immersion, it does not mean that they will gradually improve along the amount of years that they are in the immersion. For example, let's say someone is learning French and they're fully immersed. They may be in it all the time for 5 years, but that doesn't mean that they will continually improve on their form. For example, they may still struggle with verb tenses, and they may still struggle with nouns for gender use and things like that. Just because someone has content immersion doesn't mean that they have form focus instruction. But researchers do say that if you do create an environment that has form focus instruction along with content instruction, that creates an environment that allows students to really improve. So, Granny, if you have a form-focused instruction along with content instruction, you can do really well. Why don't you learn Chinese? All right, there you go, Mrs. Manga. Everything's done. Thank you for allowing me to take this class. I really enjoyed it.